Welcome to Soul Over It, the podcast where science meets spirituality. Get ready to explore the hidden truths of health optimization, wellness, spirituality, and empowerment. We are your hosts, Taylor and Abby Scarpello. Let's dive in.
As the holidays approach, many of us feel the weight of loss more acutely. Whether it's from a loved one who has passed or a relationship that has changed, the season can bring a mix of joy and deep sorrow. In today's episode, we are talking about navigating grief during this time of year, sharing heartfelt stories, expert insights, and practical tips to help you honor your feelings while still finding moments of peace and connection.
Join us as we discuss ways to cherish memories, embrace vulnerability, and create new traditions that honor our loved ones and ourselves. You are not alone on this journey. Let's walk through it together.
Happy holidays! Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. We are so grateful and so blessed to be spending this Thursday
Thanksgiving
with all of you.
Yeah. What a wonderful time of year.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. I hope I just didn't scare our audience away.
Okay.
Listen, we gotta laugh.
Yeah, to keep us from crying.
Honestly, in today's episode, because it's a little, I wouldn't say heavy.
No, it's a little more
intimate.
Yeah, intimate, somber.
I think that's a good vibe.
Yeah, but chill.
We got the chill vibes.
Yeah,
on today's episode.
Yeah,
because there's so much hustle and bustle going into the holidays, regardless. However, this time of year can definitely bring up some unprocessed emotions that we've been carrying for a year, quite some time. This is our third holiday season without our grandma. And growing up Italian, the holidays have always been
fun, exciting, filled with family and traditions. Food, and more food.
To the point where I don't think you can stuff any more food into your body.
No.
But growing up, I would say the kitchen is the heart of the home.
For sure.
For us, and I'm sure others as well. And especially if you are Italian, it's always been revolved around the kitchen. And our grandma was the head of the family. Yeah. And when you lose that matriarch or patriarch, things they get different.
They do.
And the roles also change as well. And you can become uncomfortable, uncertain, and it's like, wait, am I getting older now? Who's going to be the head of the family? And that next person has to step up and fulfill that new leadership role. Yeah. So it can be a time of challenge, but there's also a lot of love and joy within that time and within those changes.
For sure.
So on today's episode, we are definitely so over faking how you feel during the holidays.
Yes. This is so true. It's so hard to go through holidays without your loved one, or even if, like, in relationships that changes, it's challenging because you don't really know how to process all these different emotions. We're not really taught these things.
Absolutely not. We're not taught how to feel.
No. Especially in
today's society. Yeah. I would say we're so disconnected from ourselves, but also each other, where society wants to keep us stuck in this box. And anything that will allow you to step out of the box, it's looked at as wrong. So it's, okay, what else can we do to continue to keep you suppressed in that box? And that also includes our emotions and how we feel. Where if you are out in public, it's looked at as, say, wrong to be crying, or even to be laughing and having fun sometimes and just being loud with friends. And when you're in those situations and environment, be yourself. It's okay to cry. It's okay to laugh. It's okay to have fun. It's okay to jump and scream for joy. There's been so many times where we've been out at dinner and with our family or even friends, and we're talking and I'll start to tear up. Meanwhile, the waiter comes over mid meltdown or mid cry, and everyone's ordering food and they just look at me like, "You good? You okay?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. Let me just place my order and we're good. We'll just keep the ball rolling."
But it's important to process those emotions and feel those emotions when they arise.
Exactly.
Who cares if you're in the middle of a restaurant and crying? You know, like, people should be like, wow, she knows how to feel her emotions, rather than to be like, oh, what is wrong with her?
And I would say this starts at a young age with children, because a lot of times when kids do have temper tantrums, it's their only way to release those emotions. So as parents, if they suppress that, it's going to create those patterns as children get older, that it is wrong to feel my emotions. It's wrong to cry. It's wrong to feel.
Yeah. So getting back to the holidays.
This time of year can definitely bring up those emotions of loss and just feeling uncomfortable in your family dynamic, or maybe out with friends, whether you are in that transitional stage of life, whether it be from losing a loved one, maybe you just broke up with your boyfriend or girlfriend or partner, or just got home from college and maybe you don't resonate with your high school friends anymore, or your friends growing up, you have completely different likes or dislikes, or you've elevated and became that next version of yourself. And it's okay to honor and recognize that you have changed and you have grown. And we are going to share some tips on how to recognize that change and growth within yourself so you can honor it, and also allow yourself to be proud of your journey and be proud of how far you have came, so that you can continue to keep going and elevate and keep making change within yourself and step out of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
So navigating through this time of year, let's say, so today is Thanksgiving, and a lot of us may be heading to a loved one's house or some sort of gathering, or maybe everyone is coming over to your house. So for us, when we are heading into the holiday season, we definitely feel those feelings start to come up, the grief, the feeling of lack, but also the discomfort when sitting with family that may not have the same values, and
like, they just don't see things the way that we see things.
Exactly. Where we're sitting in these gatherings and it feels very uncomfortable. So when you are in those situations, how does that make you feel? And how do you navigate that?
I mean, I'd say the past 2 years, because the past 2 years were the years that we had to go through the holidays without our grandma. It was just so uncomfortable. I didn't want to be there. In a way, I was very judgmental, and too, just because it's like, yes, they acknowledged the elephant in the room. Like, our grandma wasn't there. She was a big part of all of our lives. We acknowledged it, but it was like, okay, acknowledge, then everyone moved on, rather than maybe I would have enjoyed sharing stories a little bit more, or really actually talking about her and honoring her, or having a new tradition that honors all our past loved ones. But we didn't do that, and it was very uncomfortable. It was like something that no one wanted to talk about.
Exactly.
It was like, oh, no, we're not talking about this subject. Let's just focus on, let's just eat. And
when's the next course? Where's the next course coming from? Meanwhile, all of us have been slaying in the kitchen for hours upon hours, trying to serve people who, honestly, at the end of the day, we're very ungrateful to be there. And you could feel that as people who are intuitive, as empaths. And sometimes I feel weird saying that, but you could read the energy in the room.
Yeah, you could feel it.
Clearly. Yeah. Whether you're empathetic or not, intuitive or not, you just know. You know, the vibes don't lie.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were slaying in the kitchen, and you're dishing out all of your intention because you put so much heartfelt energy into preparing the food for people, and when they're ungrateful, it makes you feel very disconnected, uncomfortable. Plus, you also have to deal with the elephants in the room.
Yeah, but also your own emotions too. You can't just put those on the back burner to serve other people, especially when it's family. If you're outside and you're serving others on these holidays, yeah, maybe in that moment, put those heavy emotions on the side for these people that you're serving. But when it comes to family and you're all facing it together, deal with it together. Exactly. Face it together.
And I would say leading up to the holidays, the past 2 years, I would say I felt the emotions much more than on the day of.
For sure.
And we're leading up to Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve and Christmas. I was a mess. And I allowed myself to feel the emotions. That first year, I didn't know what to expect.
Neither did I.
I didn't want to go anywhere. I wanted us to cancel all of our plans. And on the day, I don't know if I just disconnected from myself, disconnected from my emotions, just to
get through it
and make it look like I was present, or kind of just like fake it till you make it. I just went about, okay, I have to put the sauce on at this time. I have to fill the water. I have to boil the pasta. I have to do this. So it was more of just being on autopilot rather than allowing myself to feel the emotions. Where the second year, I felt that I knew what to expect. I knew that, okay, there's going to be one less person at our gathering or in our house on that holiday. And again, leading up, I felt that I still felt the emotions, still felt cringy, still felt uncomfortable. But on the day of Thanksgiving, on the day of Christmas and Christmas Eve, I was like, okay, it's a little bit better. It's a little lighter. I would say I prepared myself a little bit more so, where I really allowed myself to feel those emotions, took time for myself, because I knew that the days leading up may be a little darker. And then on the days, I was like, okay, it's okay. I'm safe. I am surrounded with love. I'm surrounded with a loving family. And on Thanksgiving last year, it was a few days before my birthday. And for my birthday, I got this hat. And I knew that I wanted to just dress for myself. I wanted to look good for myself. I'd been focusing on a lot of self-love and self-care. So that was one thing that I knew would make me feel a little bit better. However, it did help for myself. On Thanksgiving with our family, I don't know if it really did much, because they also were acknowledging the elephants in the room. They continued to just be how they are. And I would say this year, leading up to the holidays, I've accepted what is and what will always be. And going into the holidays, I really want to start to create new traditions, because I've accepted the family dynamic that we have, where we have that core, loving, supportive family, where we allow each other to feel We allow each other to feel our emotions and express how we're feeling. Where our extended family, we may have that disconnect. So I've accepted that that is how it is. However, I know for myself, I can change and I can have gratitude for them. I can have forgiveness for them. And as we move forward with the holidays in the future, I want them to be filled with joy and love and gratitude. When I do have children and Santa comes, I don't want them to see mommy crying in the corner and say, Mommy, it's supposed to be the happiest day of the year. Why are you crying? Santa just came. And I want my children and your children to be able to recognize our ancestors and know the roots and know where they also came from. Honor that, but then also be present in the moment.
Exactly. I mean, I definitely want to do the same. But I think I had different experiences with the holidays in the past. The first year without our grandma, I obviously didn't know what to expect. You didn't know what to expect. I was kind of just like, let's just get through this. Let me just cook the things I need to cook, and let's just kind of see what happens. I think there were moments, especially Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, where it's like, oh, let me try to enjoy this. Let me try to not feel. It didn't work. I mean, that never does anything. But it was like, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what was going to take place during the holidays. I didn't know if anyone was going to bring stuff up or if people weren't going to talk about anything. I didn't know what to expect. However, leading up to those holidays, like Taylor was saying, I was definitely anxious and emotional and didn't know what to do. I know during that year and during the holiday season that year, I was invited to a couple gatherings, and one of them I went to, and as soon as I got there, I was like, I shouldn't be here. I don't feel good mentally, emotionally. I wasn't present. I almost started crying at that table, and it was for a birthday. It was a friend of a friend's birthday that I was invited to, and it was nice to celebrate. However, I wasn't in that celebratory mood just because of all the emotions I was holding on to. Then next year rolls around, and last year I literally felt like the Scrooge Grinch, because I'm like, I'm not in this holiday spirit. I don't want the holidays to come. I literally just want to jump over them. That's how I felt. And I'm like, I wasn't really enjoying the holidays. I tried to enjoy as much as possible, but at the end of the day, it was like, whatever. I was definitely protective over my emotions when we were in, I guess, our larger family gatherings. When it was just our immediate family, I was able to enjoy it more. I was able to really be my true self, cry, laugh, be happy, be sad, just because I felt safe with us. But in the larger gatherings, I didn't really know what to do. I didn't feel in my body. I felt very disconnected. And that's not how I want to be this year. I want to feel, I want to be in my body. I want to enjoy it how I can enjoy it and honor our loved ones, honor our ancestors, and create those new traditions.
Do you have any new traditions you want to create this year?
On the top of my head, I don't know. You know what we've never done as like a big family, and I feel like a lot of families do this, and because it's Thanksgiving, I'm gonna say this, it's like we've never gone around and said what we're thankful for.
Never.
And it's the simplest thing.
And we've always wanted to do that.
Taylor and I would always discuss it, even like in the car driving to our family's house on Thanksgiving. It's like, we should go around and say what we're thankful for. I know what I'm thinking. Like, I have so many things. Yeah, we do it in the car.
We do it in the car on the way to
I have a gratitude practice every day. I am a very grateful person, so it only makes sense to extend that gratitude on Thanksgiving.
Absolutely. But not only on Thanksgiving.
No, of course not.
Every day.
Every day, but when it's Thanksgiving, yeah.
And I would say just having a gratitude practice in general is a great way to help overcome grief.
Exactly.
Because when you are feeling those heavier emotions, if you're able to replace it with a positive emotion, it's going to bring you out of that darker place and into a lighter and more positive state of being.
Exactly. Are there any traditions you would like to start?
I'm excited to cook food that I want to cook.
Yeah.
That is healthy, that tastes good. And I love hosting. And I know sometimes it could definitely be hard work, but I do like hosting and having the people in our house.
Me too.
I feel more comfortable.
Of course.
And I know what we're going to eat. I know it's coming from a good and beautiful intent. It's intention filled.
Yes. So, do you want to break the tradition and start a new tradition where on Christmas Eve, as Italians, we do the 7 fish feast, and that's very traditional. So, my question is, do you want to break that tradition and start a new tradition by having foods that maybe everyone can enjoy that's not just fish?
I feel I've broken that tradition years and years ago.
You have personally, but not for the group.
Yes, exactly. So for those of you who are not Italian, Christmas Eve is, I would say that's our big Christmas.
Yeah.
However, on Christmas Day, we do gifts from Santa, and then we also go and celebrate Christmas Day. But on Christmas Eve, we do the 7 fishes. We're cooking in the kitchen.
All day
long. The house smells like fish. And I'm someone that does not eat fish. So every year on Christmas Eve, I basically don't eat. Well, I do. I nibble.
Taylor, now you eat.
I do eat.
You make your own food.
I'm kidding. But growing up, I would just eat pasta when everyone would eat the fish and more fish and pasta with fish, and all the other fish, where I would just eat pasta. But over the last couple of years, I started incorporating more protein and meals that I actually like. And I would always get stared at, like, oh, what are you eating? So technically, you're not supposed to eat meat on Christmas Eve.
If you are within the Italian traditional Catholic faith culture, that's just how we grew up.
It's frowned upon. They would say, oh, you're going to go to hell if you eat meat on Christmas Eve.
No, you won't.
And you won't. And as my views have changed, or I've dove deeper into my own spirituality, I'm like, no, I'm not going to go to hell if I eat chicken or if I eat steak on Christmas Eve. I'm fueling my body the way it wants to be fueled.
Exactly. God would rather see me eat whatever than starve.
So over the last few years, I would make chicken and eat with everyone because it's about the family coming together or the community coming together, not about, oh, what's Taylor eating? What's Abby eating? What's Paula eating?
Exactly.
It's about us connecting and sharing community together.
Yes.
So last year, I was like, I'm going to enjoy my meal. So I made myself a nice ribeye.
Yum.
And it was so good, where everyone's eating. And I think someone asked me, they're like, oh, Taylor, what are you eating? I'm like, I just made myself a nice ribeye. They're like, oh, and just kind of gave me that like nice little side eye. And I'm like,
you're enjoying the fish, so why can't I enjoy what I like?
Exactly. But I do like what you just said and start to break that tradition where, yes, still have that 7 fish meal.
Yeah.
But hey, as we start to get older, maybe we're bringing our partners and boyfriends into our family. maybe they don't like fish, or maybe they have different values or different dietary restrictions or food allergies where maybe they can't have certain meals. So if we're able to start to incorporate other foods into our family tradition, I'm all about that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would, in a way, like bring everyone together.
Closer.
Yeah, because so the one thing that our grandma would for sure make on Christmas Eve that she really was the only one that knew how to make it. She tried to teach me, tried to teach my mom, but we were so busy with like other things that I would like watch, but I'm like, grandma, I gotta go help mom, whatever. So this would be her crab meat, and it used to be like, they're called slipper tails. They're like mini lobster tails in a marinara sauce. She would always make that over linguine Christmas Eve. And then it's evolved into crab meat and shrimp sauce. So it was like one of her last Christmases that we didn't know it was going to be her last Christmas. I watched her make it. My mom watched her make it, and it was like, okay. And then the first year without our grandma, we had to figure out how to make this sauce.
We're so stressed.
We were so stressed out. We're like,
of us.
Is it going to taste right? Like, I don't even know where to start. All this stuff. We kind of had an idea, but also it was also like, what do we do?
What do we do? Are we sure we're putting the ingredients in the right way?
Yeah.
And then I think I went into a theta state, and I'm like, I'm just going to channel the recipe. I'm like, guys, I got this.
So it was me, Taylor, and our mom all standing over the stove with our pot, and we're like, okay, throw the olive oil in with the parsley, with this, with that. And then later we got to throw this in. And then it actually tasted exactly like how she would make it. So I always say her hands were working through us on that day. And every time we make that, it's not me making it, it's still grandma making it. And I think that is something that we would keep because
absolutely
that honors our grandma. However, bring in other foods or other traditions that honor ourselves, other ancestors, other family members too.
For sure. And I think that's something our audience can even do, and a huge takeaway, as well as maybe know that if you do have certain dietary restrictions or just foods that you like, don't be ashamed to bring either a dessert, an entree, a side dish that you know you will enjoy.
Exactly.
Because especially if you are even just going through a healing journey with your health, at least you know when you are showing up to the table, there will be food that you're going to enjoy, you can eat, and you don't have to sit cringing or knowing, oh, if I eat the turkey, does it have butter or does it have dairy in it, and my stomach may hurt, or something that has something that you are allergic.
Yeah, and then also, even if you are going through the grieving process during the holidays and you are invited somewhere, maybe bring a food that is comforting to you. Bring something that you know you will enjoy, or bring a food that is part of your family tradition, just because that could also help you at that holiday with people surrounded, that if you are surrounded by people that don't exactly know what you're going through, it, by having that so-called comfort food, that can just help you feel a little more comfortable going through the whole grieving process.
And it could also be a great talking point as well.
Yeah.
Where, oh, this was my grandma's favorite dish. I'm going to share stories about it, how she made it, or maybe when I was a child, we used to make it together.
Yeah.
And it brings community together. It brings heartfelt stories and more of an appreciation, and it allows for your loved one or that tradition for others to grasp that and feel the presence of maybe that loved one or that feeling and emotion.
Exactly.
Or story.
Yeah. I mean, I would, looking from like, I guess, an outsider perspective, I would love for someone to share their food or their traditions or stories from their loved one. I would love to honor them in that way as well.
Absolutely. And you're always learning too.
Yeah.
Because you may also discover that this is your new favorite food.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I need this recipe now. This is something that I can spark.
Exactly.
And I would say another great thing is start to develop a toolbox for yourself. And we spoke about this on a previous episode with Gabby Mail. And so it was more so of like an intention toolbox, but start to develop a grief toolbox. And both of us definitely have them. Maybe different tools are in the box.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But what would you say are your top 3 items in your grief toolbox that help you overcome either waves of grief or just tougher times?
Yeah. So I think during the holidays when I am faced with those emotions, like for me, it does help to kind of like take a step back and maybe like remove myself from the situation and kind of like feel my emotions for what they are and kind of like, I don't want to say gather myself, but it's also like I need to feel this for myself before I can either talk about it more or just kind of continue on. I just need to process it for myself and then I can continue and talk about it. So kind of just like honoring myself in that way where it's like, hey, wait, just give me a moment. I gotta,
run to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah.
Compose yourself.
Exactly. And it's like, and then it's like, no, I want to talk about this more. I don't want to, like shut off the emotion and hide from it. And then I also say like, I love to like talk to my grandma where it's like, hey grandma, happy Thanksgiving. Come with us today. And just kind of like, I know you're with us. You're going to be with us. Help me make
whatever food.
Yeah.
You have another one?
I gotta think on that. What are yours?
I would say setting myself up for the day.
Yeah, that's like for me, that's like a given. It's like, I'm just gonna, I have to like, before I get out of bed, I gotta meditate. That's like, yeah.
A given.
Yeah.
So I would say starting the day with gratitude and with meditation and sitting with myself and asking for guidance on how I can get through the day during my meditation practice. So I would say tool number 1 is to have some sort of meditation practice that you can always come back to time after time.
Yeah.
Where you know you're going to receive downloads, receive guidance, or just receive peace in those moments. And if you do have to get up and excuse yourself, run to the bathroom, just to have those 5 minutes for yourself, that's okay. So I would say that is number 1. Number 2, I love crystals. So having crystals that help you ease those emotions.
Yeah.
And Apache Tears is a great crystal for grief and to help those who are grieving overcome those emotions. So I actually have a bracelet.
Yeah, so do I.
Is Apache Tears.
Yeah.
So definitely wearing that one, as well as Ruby Zoisite. That's also another great crystal for those overcoming grief and to also remain grounded. And it also helps to open up your heart chakra. And I would say third is to have someone that you can speak to, whether it be at that family gathering or even just a friend that you know in those moments. Who can I call just to rant or to cry and to just let it out? And don't be afraid to scream it out, let it out, let those emotions out in those moments.
Because that's so needed. Yeah.
So if you have to just get up, excuse yourself from the table, go to the bathroom, go to the car, just cry, scream, let it out. But you don't have to allow yourself to sit in that period the remainder of the day. And when you do find yourself in those emotions, I want to walk you through a little practice that you can do. So you're going to do 3 things. You're going to close your eyes, come back into yourself, and I want you to ask yourself, am I safe? And allow your intuition, allow God or creator, the universe, whatever your higher belief system is, to send you a message, send you a signal, and you will get an answer of yes, where you are safe. Look around and ask, am I safe? Wait for that signal, wait for that yes. Then I want you to take 3 deep breaths. This is going to calm your nervous system, connect your mind, your body, and spirit, and allow yourself to come back to peace and to ground. And then after your 3 deep breaths, I want you to think of 3 things that you're grateful for, because this is going to shift your emotions from that negative, or not necessarily negative emotion, from that heavier emotion into a lighter state of being. So 3 things you could do is 1, ask yourself, am I safe? 3 deep breaths, and then fill your heart with 3 things that you're grateful for. And I promise you, this will immediately shift your mood and elevate your emotion and your state of being.
Yeah, and you'll feel a little more present, a little more grounded, and you'll be able to walk back in with maybe a little more confidence too.
And empowerment.
Yeah.
And also loving your heart as well.
Exactly. So I think we should give our listeners a couple more tips, because there's so many tips. Like we kind of said before, maybe it's time to make new traditions, or plan ahead, just to, when you're in these times of uncertainty, it is a little helpful to have a plan, just to have some certainty where it's like, you know, where you're going to be, when you're going to be there, what time, all this stuff. So maybe just have that.
Maybe plan a cute outfit.
Yeah, that helps too.
Bring a little spark.
Yeah.
Bring a little energy, like fun energy, like that fire. Or add a little sparkle to your day.
Yeah, that helps too.
Show off that beautiful being you are.
Yes. And I also want to mention that as we are in the holiday season, and maybe you're invited to certain holiday parties, work parties, parties with friends, do not be afraid to say no or just opt out of these parties, events, gatherings, because that is a way to honor yourself and honor your emotions. I've had to say no in the past, and I actually felt better saying no, because I knew I was going to be safe in my body, and I knew I was honoring myself in those moments.
And saying no is empowering.
Yes.
It's honoring yourself, like you just said, and it's a way to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And speaking of taking care of yourself, it's so important that you do during this time of year, because we can get caught up in just the hustle and bustle period. So make sure that you are getting quality sleep, staying hydrated, going for nice grounding walks, and connect with friends that you know that you can go to who will bring comfort and peace to you.
Exactly.
And you can also let them know how they can support you. Because a lot of times, especially during the holidays, people will say things that shouldn't really be said to those who are grieving, or who have been through times of loss.
We've been faced with, I guess, people who have said certain things that it's like, it makes you mad, because it's like, don't say that. Like, that was just not,
it's uncalled for.
Yeah, not necessary. It's like, I'm trying to feel my emotions rather than push them down even further.
And I would say, when people say, "Oh, just stay strong,"
it's like, one, how?
I'm just trying to get through the day.
Just trying to
I'm grateful that I woke up today.
Yeah.
That is me having inner strength.
Yes. And it's okay if you say that to them. Hey, if they say, hey, stay strong. It's like, I'm just grateful I woke up today and was able to get out of bed today.
But a lot of people take that as someone being sarcastic.
But you're not.
And I would say another thing when people say, oh, everything happens for a reason.
That just flips a switch within me. So yes. In reality, everything does happen for a reason. But when you're talking about the loss of a loved one, that is something you should never say to anyone.
Or they don't want you to be sad.
That leaves me speechless every time I hear that, because it's like, yeah, they don't want me to be crying, but I need to feel my emotions.
How about when you hear, you need to move on and let go?
Hell no. Hell no. What makes you want me to move on from... Sorry, I'm going on a tangent.
Go ahead.
I'm not letting go of
the memories of a loved one.
Exactly.
Now, if you just got out of an abusive relationship,
I'd be like, hell yes.
That's different. That's different. Yeah. There's a time and place for the right words. However, when we're speaking of grief, this is not that case. Or they're in a better place.
Thank you for your support. That's like when people say these things to people, it's like when people say, bless your heart.
Oh, when you're in the South.
Yeah. It's like, I
feel people in the North, they think, oh, bless your heart. They mean that. I was like, oh, that's so cute.
So sweet.
But that's not always the case.
No.
What it really means is like, F you.
Yeah.
Once you've been to the South time after time, you start to catch on to what people really mean. So it's a sarcastic way of them kind of just saying like, oh, screw you, F you.
Yeah. So I guess what advice would you give for our listeners to do or to say when they are faced with these sayings?
I would say don't put your guard up when you do hear these sayings, where in the past I definitely have, where I've been told so many times, oh, stay strong. You have to stay strong for your grandma. Meanwhile, I'm at her wake and I'm at her funeral.
Exactly.
First of all, I've never experienced this before, so I don't even know where to begin.
Exactly.
And I'm just trying to just be here. So first off, I would say actualize what just came out of that person's mouth so that you could also start to comprehend, where is this coming from? Because maybe that person, they also don't necessarily know what to say in that situation. So don't be afraid to say thank you. I respect what you're saying. However, in this moment, I choose not to be strong. I choose to honor how I am feeling. So depending upon the situation, actualize how you can respond in a way that does honor yourself.
Yeah, and of course it's respectful. It's also like setting those boundaries.
Yep. And second of all, set those boundaries and don't be afraid to honor yourself, because when you do say no, when you do honor yourself, you're choosing yourself and you're choosing love and respect.
Yes.
Which is the most important thing you can ever do.
For sure, especially in these moments. So.
And going off of that, it's okay to acknowledge how grief has changed you.
Mm-hmm. Recognize the parts of yourself that remain untouched. You gotta just honor that and really
allow yourself to heal. And healing takes time. We don't necessarily know how much time, but that's where the beauty comes in. It's in that journey of growth where maybe today or in the past 2 years, I didn't accept our family, or I didn't accept the grief. But now 3 years, I'm like, okay, I've accepted this, but I want to change. I want to get better. I want to heal for myself, but also for my future family.
Of course.
And then allow yourself to feel different in that different version of yourself, knowing that you can heal and you have the power within you to step out of your comfort zone and choose to heal and choose to do the work. Because a lot of times people, they get stuck in that box where the grief becomes them rather than choosing to overcome the grief.
Yeah, and grief is something that ebbs and flows and fluctuates. It's part of it. It comes in waves. It's part of the journey. However, having the toolbox, honoring yourself, honoring your loved ones, that is where you can really grow and
evolve.
Yeah.
And grief is something you experience. It's not who you are. So please remember that. And I do want to leave you guys with a quote. So I found this on Instagram, and I would say it pretty much sums up grief. Grief is odd. Like yesterday, you looked at a picture and smiled. Today, I cried.
Yeah. You never know when these waves of emotions will come over you. And it's okay. It's okay to feel them. Please feel them. And grow from them. And no matter if this is your first holiday season without a loved one, or your 10th or 20th
or 100th,
it doesn't matter. Grief is still, it's something that
it's always going to be there because it is a type of emotion. However, when we are grieving, it shows how much you can love.
That's what it really is. It just shows how big your heart is, how much you can love, and honor that.
So thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Soul Over It. We are your hosts, Taylor and Abby Scarpello. Join us weekly every Thursday for a dose of inspiration, empowerment, biohacking tips, and some exercise for the soul right here on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. If you are listening in on Apple, please don't forget to leave us a review.